Hi, my name is Carlton Forrester, and I'm the developer of Block Builder FX, a game currently available for free on the App Store. I'd like to do a quick video on the basics of building in the game. If you haven't already watched the video about moving around, you might want to watch that real quick just to get a foundation. This will be about the basics of building. So I'm going to go into creative mode, and I'm going to choose a map. Okay, now the first thing you will want to know, obviously, is the inventory menu. This is this button right here. This is where all of your inventory will be, and this is where you'll add items to the board from. If you have purchased the unlimited inventory, this is what you'll see, what I have here. If you haven't, then you'll just have the account for each item that you have in your inventory listed in green on the right there. So let's add a few items. I'm just going to go down here and hit a few things. You'll notice the menu stays open while I add items, and I can add as many things as I need, and then I tap outside of it to close that menu. So now I have a few things just sitting there. Now, what you'll want to know, I guess right off the bat, is that the way you remove items, if you want to remove items one by one, if you tap this button here, it alternates between move mode and delete mode. Choose delete mode, and then just tap on anything you want to delete, and it will remove those items. If you want to remove everything at once, let me just add a few things in. Alright, I got a bunch of things there. If I click on the physics effects button and just hit the top item, which is clear board, it will remove everything. Okay, let's actually look at the mechanics of building. So I've added a block here, and the first thing you should know is double tapping a block will duplicate it above the block you tapped. And this is very useful if you are building something which has a lot of the same block. For adding other things, you just go back to the inventory menu and add it from there. Notice that anything you add is positioned over the currently selected block. So if I select that block there and I go to the inventory menu and hit, say, the 1x4 block, it's going to add it right on top of that. It'll also preserve the rotation. Say I tap on that and I add the 1x2 block, it'll add it above it in the same rotation that the 1x4 block was in. Moving blocks around. The easiest thing, especially when you're starting out, is to move things just side by side. And if you need to move it front to back, just swipe around and move it side to side from there. You can move blocks front to back by hitting this button, and then you'll see that the block moves back and forth. So when you're comfortable with that, that's a good option. Starting out, moving side to side is really the easiest way to do it. Rotating a block. Rotate, pick up the block, and then hit this button. This will now let you drag side to side or up and down to rotate the block. Side to side will move it kind of rolling right to left. Up and down will roll it kind of forward and backward. So once you get comfortable with this, then it'll be easy to place things the way you want it. Holding a block. I'm going to go ahead and clear this board here and add, let's just add something like that in. Holding a block is when you need to move a block a certain distance that you can't do it all in one movement. So if I, say I pick up the block, well, this is all I can move it with one movement on the screen. So what I would do is hit this button, the hold button, and it'll hold it in place while I move my first finger. So I can keep on moving it wherever I want by hitting hold while I let up on my main finger. So just to show that again, hold is primarily for longer distances. Locking. Locking is similar to hold, except that it's intended for situations where you really need to let go of the block and go do something else while the block is in position. So if I lift up the block, well, let's do a better situation here. Let's say that I have a block here, and I want this block to span across 2 blocks, but the next block isn't there yet. Normally if I just let it go, it would fall like that. But with lock, this button here, I can hit that block will stay locked while I go and create the block that's going to go under it. Now, if a block is locked, it will remain locked until you move another block. So if I go move this, then you'll see the block that was locked is no longer locked. While it's locked, you can still create other blocks. You just can't move them. So you can do anything but move, and then you can move it to unlock it. Okay, the next thing is the lock objects button. This locks all of the objects on the board. This basically means that gravity, physics like collisions and explosion forces, none of that will have any impact on any object. And this is probably most useful when you're building large builds and you don't want anything to shift or move or slide or anything while you're doing the build, and then you'll turn this off when the build is done. So if you'll see that when I release lock, everything comes back down, and gravity and other physics forces are applied again. Alright, the last thing for this video is following, the concept of following. Notice when you tap an object, it shows up here in this button. That means you're following that object. And if that object were to move due to an explosion, or say it's a ball, matter of fact, I'll go ahead and create a ball. If you're following that object, you're going to follow it wherever it goes. So in this case, we're going to roll off the edge here, and we're following it down. And it's going to go out of bounds, so I'll be sent back to the beginning, or back to the starting point. But whenever you see this here, that means you're following that item, and you can stop following by tapping. So for example, let's just say we add a build, and then we tap an object to follow it, and then we apply an explosion to it. We're following that block now, all the way down. Okay. Alright, that's it for the basics of building. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching.